Hello from Gardening at Douentza in Ireland. Now this is a video from the greenhouse, but it's not really a greenhouse tour, not like I normally do them anyway, because I'm bringing everything into the greenhouse for winter. So at the moment the small plants are in here, so I thought I'd make a more detailed video on the small plants and cuttings and seedlings that I'm overwintering here in the greenhouse. Okay, so it's lovely and clear here. There's hardly anything in the greenhouse really, well, as compared to what it's like in winter, so it's easy to navigate. And I thought I'd start back here down the end where I've brought in my Protea collection. All of the Proteas that you see in front of you here were grown from seed 2 years ago. I ordered it from South Africa and gave it the smoke treatment and was delighted to get so many plants. Now the very first to flower has been this one here this year, which you'll have seen in another video. It's finished now, but yeah, I'm delighted because you can't buy Proteas here in Ireland, so it's great to have a variety of them. And to the left we have Fuchsia boliviana, which is a fantastic fuchsia with hanging bell-like flowers, not like other fuchsias at all. You might be mistaken for thinking it wasn't that. Now I haven't had flowers yet, but I have a number of seedlings. I grew them from seed, obviously, and I have the red form, which is the normal one, but also the alba white form. And a friend of mine just this winter gave me this enormous plant as well. So to he who has shall be given is the only moral here of this story. It's bigger than the ones I grew. So yeah, I think I'm definitely going to get flowers in that next year. Here we have Alocasia macrorhiza, which I grew from seed, collected in Italy a couple of years ago. And I'm very pleased with that. And we'll just move down then. There's a couple of small things here. Begonia sizemoreae from cuttings, looking big and bushy. And here we have things that are, I'm just holding for friends. They have to be passed along, let's just say. Over here, what do we have? Oh yeah. Here's the Hedychium greenei that I propagated in a video that I'm going to put the link to up above, and it's doing well. There were two of them and one of them got knocked over and hasn't done so well, but sure, that's the nature of things. Here we have another Alocasia macrorhiza from the same batch. At the back we have the monkey puzzle tree that Lynn from Desert Plants of Avalon gave me when she came. Thank you very much, Lynn. Here we have the amazing blue-flowered Cleredendron. Now, I saw this in France this year, but my friend Tina gave me a cutting of that, so I hope that'll come on. Beside it, we have seedlings from the Australian black boy tree. This one is, I can't remember the genus name, but it begins with an X, and it's always very cool to have something in your collection that begins with an X. But preissii is the species name, and I've got 5 plants. Now these are going to be really slow, but so it goes. Various cuttings in the middle there, and over here we have Scilla madeirensis, which was grown from seed collected in Madeira this January. These seem to be going dormant at the moment, so we'll see how they do. Beside it, that very large Epidendrum, ibaguense, which is throwing up new growth from down here. So I've kind of cleaned it up a little bit, so hopefully it'll do well. And on the left, various cuttings. I don't think I'm going to go through them all because you might be so very bored. But oh yes, this is a Dahlia, species Dahlia, Excelsia. Well, 4th of July, but it's from seed I collected in Portugal when I was there in January, and I think I've got 3 plants, so very pleased with that. In this corner we have my desis, which are about to hunker down for the winter. Now I will divide these in spring, but not now. and I will stop keeping them in water as the winter progresses, but for the moment they're fine. We have temperatures of about 10 degrees at night at the moment, so it really is grand. At the back here we have my dwarf pomegranate, punica, which it lost a branch this year, but it's doing okay. And this fabulous plant I'm trying out from Chile that I picked up in France this year, and the name completely escapes me for the moment, but I will write it up there on the video. Down below we have my salvia corner, or what will be my salvia corner once I populate it with the stuff I've dug up from the garden. So enough said about that. And moving over here to the right, we have my big cymbidiums, which will be covered in other orchid update videos. But this one here, the white one, has a spike that's sticking out at the most dreadful angle. Too late to do anything about that. But it has 4 spikes. 1, 2, 3, not very many buds on that, and 4. Now if I can just keep the slugs off them, I'll be doing fine. Just moving a little bit back from the cymbidiums, you can see that on the left, on this wooden table, is where I'm keeping my pelargonium collection, or most of it anyway, and I really am going to try my best to keep these hydrated over winter. It's a fine line between watering them too much and watering them not at all, and last year I watered them not enough and I lost several, so that was very sad. I've sprayed some of them that had whitefly, and they're not in here yet, but I have spaces for them there on top of those pots. The thing with overwintering pelargoniums is to try and make sure they don't touch. So yeah, that's what I'm trying here. Here at the top in bud, see those buds there, is this glorious species pelargonium that Helen Dillon gave me back in June when I visited her. And I'm going to put a link to that video up above. But it's very funny really, because that's the last pelargonium she gave me. Oh well, she might still give me one, who knows. And beside it here is Pelargonium Ardens, which is actually the first pelargonium she gave me. Ardens is a fantastic red flowered pelargonium that really looks quite different and has quite a different growth habit to normal ones. But the story went that one very, very, very wet day, myself and my friend Liga went to Helen Dillon's garden. And because it was so wet, it was so completely wet out there, there was nobody else in the garden. So we went into Helen Dillon's greenhouse for a bit. And then after a while, Helen looked out and saw us and felt very sorry for us, and said, "Oh, you must come in, sit down, I'll make you a cup of tea." And I was like, "Oh, no, we shouldn't bother her." And Liga was like, yes, it's Helen Dillon. So in we went, and yeah, over the course of, I don't know, I suppose about an hour, Helen discovered that I wrote for the Irish Garden magazine, and she was just chatting with us, and Liga all the time was saying, "Oh, ask her for a cutting of Ardens, ask her for a cutting of Ardens." And normally now I wouldn't do something like that for myself, but I felt I should do it for Liga, so I asked for it for Liga. And of course, you know, eventually I ended up with a plant from Liga. So this is a very long story there, but this is the first plant I got from Helen Dillon, which is a Pelargonium Ardens. And beside it the last one, which is also a beautiful pelargonium. And moving over here, it's very windy out there. You can see I haven't yet bubble wrapped the front of the greenhouse, but that will come. And here is my big Protea that flowered last spring. And do you know what? I think it's planning on flowering for me again this coming spring. That looks like a bud. And that looks like a bud, and this one here looks like a bud, so it should be very floriferous. Now, the remnants of one of the flowers I got last year is still on the plant, because I am not quite sure how to deadhead Proteas. It doesn't seem to be information that's out there, but if anybody, perhaps Carol from South Africa, knows how to deadhead Proteas, then please do let me know. I did take off the other Protea flower that died here, but in so doing I managed to break off a new shoot that was coming out from here. There were 2 new shoots coming out from the base of the flower. So yeah, obviously some technique is required. Ooh, I spot some more buds there. I'm sure that one's a bud too. And that one there may even be as well. Gosh, it's going to be brilliant. And beside the Protea is, well, I think I like the arrangement I've set up here. These are my kind of Indian god and goddess ornaments that have been brought in from the garden to be dried off and stored. Not in the greenhouse, but for the moment they're here. And they look very cool underneath the Amorphophallus leaves, I think. The Amorphophallus are going to die down soon, and I will store the bulbs dry over winter. And beside that, in the corner there, we have my Albizia tree, which also it's deciduous, it'll lose its leaves in winter. Begonia luxurians, which I will probably bring into the house. And then again to the left, the citrus trees that my children gave me for Mother's Day this year, looking very well after the repotting. And that orange has lots and lots of flowers. I mean, fruits. See, lots and lots. I'll probably bring those into the house as well. Now I'm just giving a slow pan up the top of the greenhouse staging, and this is what I usually dwell on in my greenhouse updates. I talked about the nerines in flower and various other things. And breaking news I just have to share with you is that my Haemanthus albifloss is in bud. I have various South African bulbs, and it flowered for me last year, but look at this year. 1 bud, 2 buds, 3 buds, 4 buds, 5 buds, and I think there's another one as well. Wow! Gosh, I can't wait for this to be in flower. So exciting. And then there's down below. So let's go in there and have a look at what I've got down below. This down below is mostly my baby succulent collection. And as we move along, oh my God, I swear these lads have been breeding, because I know I didn't have this many succulents before. But they've all just been brought in from the garden now. They've been top dressed with grit, just to make sure that if I do give them a drop of water in the winter, they're not going to rot off at the neck. Of course, these succulents get less light down here under the staging, and that's counterintuitive. We all know that succulents and cacti need lots of light. However, I find that in winter it works okay and they do well. And underneath this particular part of the staging is where the heater will be switched on at night. So directly above I keep the more sensitive succulents, like these agaves and that one over there, that just seem to want to rot off their leaves at the least provocation, so they'll be as warm as I can keep them. I seem to have an awful lot of epidendrums, and unlike Lynn from the channel Desert Plants of Avalon, I overwinter my epiphyllums in the greenhouse, so at a 5-degree minimum. And I seldom water them. Now that's not the proper way to keep epiphyllums, and I'm sure if you do it properly you're going to end up with plants that grow faster, but needs must, and I just don't have space to overwinter all of these in the house. Now I'm going to put a link up above to Lynn's video where she tells you how to properly take care of epiphyllums over winter, but I can tell you that overwintering them at 5-degree minimum, provided you have them potted in very well draining compost, and provided that you water them minimally, it does work. And moving up the staging to the very top, I still have a bit of space there, so, well, some begonias and a no ID fern. So moving up above again, and you can see that on the top of the shelving display I don't have a lot of colour, and that's because the pelargoniums are over here on the wooden table. It's just easier to keep them that way, all in one place, where I know that's where they are and that's where I need to check for the watering requirements, rather than having them interspersed with, well, the other stuff here for aesthetic reasons. And of course in winter I don't let them flower because, well, you know, it does the plants no good when they're being kept at such a low temperature and with so little water. And I'll end with my Jacobinia there, just about to flower, a lovely thing that I'm delighted to have. Right, so that was my detailed view of the small plants and cuttings in the greenhouse, which I hope you enjoyed. And if you like this kind of detailed video, then do let me know, because it's not something I normally do. And I just want to say that I love the greenhouse at this stage, where there's plenty of room to walk around. You know, I'm going to put the little table in there, I can make cuttings there, I can do things, but it won't last long. The big plants need to be dug up now from the west side of the garden, and you won't be able to swing a cat in here before long. Not that I'm going to swing a cat, but well, you know what I mean. Anyway, that's all for now. Hope you liked this video, and if you did, then please check back again for lots more planty and horticultural stuff. That's all for now. Bye!